Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going through the core set that just got announced, the Year of the Wolf. We've got a lot of cards leaving and a lot of cards coming back, so let's get through them. So on the left we have the leaving core here. Corvus, Bloodthorn, Sightless Watcher and Chaos Nova all going out for Demon Hunter. These cards didn't really see any play at all, so it's not going to be missed one bit. But coming in, we've got some powerhouses. We have Kane's Sunfury, Immolation Aura, and Illidari Studies. Now, Kane's Sunfury is in its unnerfed form, back to 5 health. It was 4 health for a lot of standard. This card was very, very good back in the day. Game has moved on a little bit since then, but I think it might still find a home in some aggressive decks looking to just smork your opponent to death. Immolation Aura has come back as well. This was a very key tool in quest-style Demon Hunters, which obviously are going away now, but it's probably going to be very good in Relic styles anyway, just for that insane board clear, which scales really, really well with spell damage. The thing with the spell damage is we are losing Talented Arcanist with the rotation, and we're also losing Guild Trader as well, so there is a little lack of it, but you still get to keep the Silver Moon Arcanist as well. So there is going to be good spell power clears available, just not as frequently as they have right now. Also, we got Illidari Studies, which is such a good card back in the day. We can take a look at the Outcast pool real quick, what that's going to look like with the rotation. There aren't going to be any Outcast cards leaving the core set or coming in. There's going to be a change to one of them, but let's have a look. We've got this card, this card, this card, this card. This one is leaving standard. Then you've still got Eye Beam. This one's going to be getting a buff to 3 health. And then these both rotate. I think that's all of them available for standard. So the pool is actually looking kind of decent. A lot of cheap cards, like the most expensive one you can actually get is this 3 mana Gannarg. Eye Beam's going to be outcast a lot of the time to be cheaper. So Illithari Study is very likely to get you a playable card. And it's just a very, very good flexible card for setting up future turns. And I imagine all 3 of these cards are actually going to be very good for Demon Hunter and see a lot of play. For Druid, we are losing Fandral, Force Nature, Earthen Scales, and Mounted Raptor. Now, the only one that saw play here was Earthen Scales. They are going to miss that a little bit, particularly with the Armor Druid stuff. This card was quite good. But what are they getting? Well, they're getting Kiri, Solar Eclipse, Lunar Eclipse, and a changed Witchwood Apple. So Kiri wasn't that good back in the day anyway. So I don't imagine it's going to be good now. But Lunar and Solar Eclipse were both very, very good. Granted, back in the day you had Solar Solarium Ward and you had Solar Arbor up, which you don't have currently. So I need a payoff card for Solar Eclipse for it to shine. Lunar Eclipse, I imagine, will still be very good anyway. It's kind of like a Bone Spike, although maybe a little less powerful. For Druid, we've got this Witchwood Apple. Add 2/2/2 Treants to your hand. Now the Treants are getting updated to be 1 mana. So there's going to be 1 mana, add 2/2/2s to your hand, which isn't too bad. It's a nature spell as well. So if you're going for a very heavy nature spell deck, maybe this could be a consideration. Maybe an aggressive style as well. Could be okay. For Solar Eclipse, we can take a look at some of Druid's spells that they're keeping. There's not... Wait, don't type in Druid there. There's not a lot of good ones compared to before. We could maybe go for like Solar Planted Evidence, isn't too bad. Get a couple of discovers. At the top end, Solar Miracle Growth potential. There's a lot of mana to do it, but it could happen. Solar Convoke. Now, to do this, actually, you can run Green Thumb Gardener in your deck. This is not rotating. So you start your turn with Solar Green Thumb Gardener on like 8 mana or 10 mana or something. Then you refresh and you can like a bit more easily play the double Convoke or the double Miracle Growth. So not sure it's going to be a thing, but there's some potential there to cheat a bit of mana using this card. But other than that, there's not a whole lot that's at least staying that you would want to double for now. But we might see some more Druid cards released that are suddenly a lot more favourable. But exciting card to be back, and it's in the core, so it's going to be here for the whole year. And I imagine it's going to be pretty good at some point. Alright, next, Hunter. Have 5 cards leaving. We have How Much Ashore leaving, Snake Trap leaving, Dire Frenzy leaving, Cloaked Huntress leaving, and Springpaw. None of these were particularly great. Some, like the Snake Trap, you'd randomly generate it from the hero card, but that's also going anyway. What do we have coming in? Dragonbane, Wandering Monster, Catrick, Doggy Biscuit is now a core card. And Jeweled Macaw, and the Jeweled Macaw's got a buff to its health here. From a 1-1 to a 1-2. I'm not as impressed with this core set for Hunter as I am for Druid and Demon Hunter. Dragonbane was certainly fine a long time ago. I can't imagine it's that good now. It seems a little slow. There's not really rewards for using your hero power as much as there used to be. There used to be a way to put secrets into the play if you used your hero power. That's no longer the case. So I think this is a bit weak. I don't think it's going to see play. As for the secrets, Wandering Monster, when an enemy attacks a hero, summon a 3-cost card minion as a new target. Could sometimes be okay, but without secret synergy, maybe not. Catrick again, used to be okay. It's probably not too bad, but we're not like loving that these are in the core. Doggy Biscuit and core, this one probably will see play, has done in the past. And the new Jeweled Macaw, add a random beast to your hand that's likely going to be pretty meh as a card. 1 mana 1-2 with this effect, it's like fine. It might see a bit of play. But it is a beast tag, so if you want to be going for Sunken Saber shenanigans with Hunter, you obviously cannot run this. Okay, for Mage, they're losing Kalagos, Flame Strike, Pyromaniac, Ethereal Conjurer, and Cock. None of these really sort play in a deck, but Flame Strike's good to have in the generation pool for sure. What are they getting though? They're getting Stargazer Luna. After you play the rightmost card in your hand, draw a card. That used to be pretty good with Luna's Pocket Galaxy. Don't know if there's a way to make this good now. Maybe if you're running a very, very cheap Mage deck, you can actually get quite a lot of draw off this. Some potential there, maybe. Firelands Portal's coming back, but it's not had any changes. Still 7 mana, deal 5, summon a random 5. And they've got Fire Cell coming back. Flame Geyser is 1 mana now. I think this one's actually pretty good. 1 mana deal 2, and you get a 1 mana 1-2 added to your hand. That seems pretty decent. It's kind of similar to a card they got recently, although the order's sort of backward. It's pretty similar to the Arcane Worm. This is 1-2 that adds a deal 2 spell to your hand, which can change to deal 3. I think order-wise, you'd rather have the Arcane Worm than the Flame Geyser, just because you can just play it if you don't have any targets to kill. But I can see the Flame Geyser making its way into a deck where you run the Arcane Worm anyway, sort of like similar to Frost Mage currently. Also, one big one is the Arcane Artificer. 1 mana 1-2, Whenever you cast a spell, gain armor equal to its cost. This was very good back in the day for stabilizing as mage. You can get a lot of armor for this for very cheap. You just need the spells to support it. And right now, with the rotation, there's not really the big spell support for this card. But we have yet to see a lot of mages set. Maybe this is suddenly pretty good. And it could actually creep its way into just like a skeleton deck, because it's a pretty good play alongside Deathborn. You get a 2/2 from it anyway, plus you get the 6 armor. So maybe it would find its way just into a little skelly deck regardless. Next we have Paladin. They're losing Ragnaros, Reckoning, Outer Peacekeeper, Avenge, and Noble Sacrifice. And all the other secrets that they have are also rotating out of standard. So we're going to have no secrets whatsoever in Paladin, which is a first for Hearthstone. It's going to actually have big effects on not just Paladin, but we'll get into that in a little bit. What are they getting though? They're getting some nice cards here. Fraction the Redeemed coming back for Silverhand Recruit Synergy. Muster for Battle coming back, which was an extremely good card when it came out, but it's been a long time since it came out. But I still imagine this is going to be fairly decent as a card. We've got Hammer of Wrath, now buffed to 3 mana. 3 mana deal free draw cards, not too bad. We've got Hand of a Doll coming back, but this is still in its nerfed form, not giving +2/+2. And also we have Grime Street Outfits are coming back, but this has been buffed to a 2/2, whereas before it was a 1/1, I believe. And this was fairly decent back then. It was like okay. You can kind of think of this similar to Bannerman. It's like cheaper, but you don't get the card draw. But you're going to still see the hand buff potential for Paladin. Maybe this will be good in like a mech style Paladin as well. Alright. And also Paladin's going to be getting some changes to some of their core cards as well that they currently have, but we'll get into that later. The Priest, they're losing Mirazond, Lyra, Kultoran, Chaplain, Focus Will, Power Infusion, Radiant Elemental, and Northshire Cleric. They left the 2 big ones for the end. Radiant Elemental going is going to actually kill a few decks. Boon Priest was already losing quite a few cards anyway, but this one seals the deal. Svalna Priest cannot exist without Radiant Elemental either. I think it's a good thing. The card is pretty broken. Northshire Cleric going as well. Can't do any Wild Pyro heal plays so much anymore. This is kind of a big one for future Priest archetypes potentially. It wasn't seeing a lot of play right now, but it was always a card that if the right deck came along, it would have been very good. But what are Priest getting in return? Some of these are pretty nice. Katrina Myrte. 7 mana now instead of 8. At the end of your turn, resurrect another friendly undead minion. So they changed it from friendly minion to specifically undead. Which might seem like a downgrade, but I think it's an upgrade because this basically allows you to run some high value res undead. A lot of these are rotating, but there are some that you could put in. But it means that you can actually just run a lot of small minions as well with the rest of your deck. And you don't get punished for it. So you can still run Katrina in a deck which runs some early game as well. You just put some like high impact undeads you wanna res. So that's kind of interesting, and it's always been a pretty nice card. Dark Bishop Benedictus is now a core card, so if you want to play Shadow Priest, you can still do that. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I guess it's fine. It just feels a bit like the rotation might end up with very similar looking decks as we're playing against now, which I think is always a little bit of a shame, because you do want the meta to feel very fresh every year. We also have Mana Geode. It's a 2 mana 2/3 elemental. This has been changed. Don't ask me what it used to be. I have no idea. I think it was probably 2 mana, but I do not know what it used to do. Now it says overheal, summon a 2/2 crystal. This one doesn't seem too crazy. Probably not that great. There are some overheal synergy cards being released with the new set, but I don't know if this one's powerful enough to make it into those decks. We also have Crimson Clergy, overheal, draw a card, 1 mana, 1/3. This one's maybe a little bit more reasonable to see play. Kind of similar to playing a cleric in your deck. But again, I don't know if it's strong enough compared to some of just the undead synergy cards, etc. We'll see. Also got over Holy Champion. I think this used to be like 5 mana or 4 mana. I'm not sure. Maybe it was 4 mana. I don't think I can't remember. Anyway, it's a 2 mana 1/4 now with overheal, gain +2 attack. So it becomes a 3/4 if you do something to it. You can buff its attack a lot. I'm not sure it's that good. There used to be a card with kind of a similar heal in Wild for Priest. Or was it even for Priest? Maybe it was a neutral. I think it might have been a neutral. Bear with me 1 second. Is it Light Warden? Here it is, Light Warden. Whenever a character is healed, gain +2 attack. So they have to be healed to get the attack. But maybe you can this card actually could get out of control kinda quickly. Maybe you could do a similar thing with Holy Champion. Obviously, you got Overheal as well. If it's only on for this, nah, it doesn't function the same. Okay. Shadow Ascendant is now a 2/3. At the end of your turn, give another friendly minion +1/+1. This card was pretty good in an aggressive style Priest decks when it was a 2/2. Now it's a 2/3 and undead. Could see this creeping into Shadow Priest actually. They tend not to play like super wide boards. They tend to go like one minion at a time. But maybe this will give a little bit of a boost to the very flood style undead Shadow Priest. And you might want to go more in that direction because of this card. Pretty good follow-up to an egg, for example. And finally we have Shard of the Naru being put in core. Tradable is going into core. I'm a bit sad to see this one in core. This has been by far the best silence that Hearthstone's ever seen, and we've had it for like 2 years now. So to have it for another year kind of feels a bit meh. I feel like I was kind of looking forward to Priest not having this tool available to them. So maybe some of your Death Rattle decks can do a bit better against Priest. But it might be a good thing that there's a silence available in general that's actually pretty good just for the metagame, but I'm just a bit tired of this card, let's say that. So a little bit sad to see it just immediately back into standard, for me at least. For Rogue, we're getting quite a lot of changes to their core set. Vanessa, Sprint, Assassin's Blade, Sinister Strike, Pillager, Plague Scientist, and Cold Blood leaving. Some of these were Fringe played, Sprint and Sinister Strike, maybe, Vanessa for Thief decks. But nothing was particularly core. What are they getting? They're getting the Secret Package back. Hanar is rejoining Standard alongside Ambush, Plagiarize, and Cheat Death. These were fairly okay back in the day, but they did have a better secret synergy back then because they had a 1-drop that could sap your opponent's minion. And also, Paladin no longer have secrets anymore, which is a big deal for Hanar because there's no cheap option for you to take to keep cycling or do higher tempo plays. You pretty much only get, well, 2 mana is the cheapest one. You're going to get Hunter and Mage or Rogue secrets. So you pick a Hunter one, then you can pick Mage or Rogue. So all the plays become a lot more expensive. So it's not going to do a Christmas tree quite as quickly as it used to because before you could pick the Palas. Also got Elven Minstrel. Now 4 mana 3/3 got buffed health. Combo draw 2 minions from your deck. A little bit better of a card. I don't think it's that crazy good. We already have a cheaper targeted draw which doesn't require combo. And that hasn't seen a lot of play lately. The combo effect might be relevant because Rogue's getting a combo archetype, but still this feels a bit too expensive. But it's just draw. If Rogue somehow runs out of draw, I don't think they're going to, but there's an option available there. Fan of Knives been buffed to 2 mana and put it back in core. This could see some play, especially if there's some tokeny decks out there. It's not too bad. It's like fine. And Eviscerate coming back as well. Wicked Stab leaving, Eviscerate coming back, so there's still the dual 4 potential available. Not too bad for Rogue. I don't have a lot of faith in the secret stuff, but I think they did fine. Now Shaman. Kragwa leaving, Manatide leaving, Maelstrom Porter leaving, Tidal Surge leaving, and Rockbite Weapon leaving, so nothing that really saw play in decks. I'd say the Tidal Surge leaving is relevant for School Teacher because that was actually a pretty decent one to get from it. And the Rockbiter leaving means, I guess, there's no Doomhammer win condition, but there's still Doomhammer in Standard. And anyone trying to do Alakir, Rockbiter, Criminal lineup might be a little bit sad that this is going. Other than that, these aren't really big misses. What's coming in? We're getting Grand Totem Eyesore, which is a very nice, very, very nice totem for maybe Carving Chisel. Pretty good follow-up for that. Overdraft is staying in the core set. Thing from Below coming in. Again, some more totem support. This is like a very, very good totem support card. Also, there's Tour Guide in the core set as well, so that helps Totem Shaman as well to maybe get the Thing from Below very nice and cheap. And Ancestral Knowledge has been buffed to Overload 1 instead of Overload 2. And we've got Zap coming back as well. So a little bit of Overload support, but I don't know if there's enough to support the newer archetype entirely, because while there's 2 kind of cheap ones, I mean the 2 mana one's not super cheap, there really isn't a whole lot else. We have Lightning Bolt, and then really nothing up to 3 mana where we have this and this. And then there's just like only expensive ones left. So for the new archetype, which kind of relying a lot on Overload, there doesn't seem to be enough support, in my opinion, for that to take off yet. But maybe there'll be some more Overload cards revealed. Who knows? Alright, next we have Warlock. High Priest Jacklick coming out. Felsoul Jailer coming out. Void Terror coming out. Tiny Knight of Evil coming out. And Darkshire Librarian coming out. So none of these cards saw like any play whatsoever. So they're not going to be missed at all. But they're getting some good ones coming back. Mal'Ganis coming back. Enhanced Dreadlord. I mean, these aren't good alone, but we're getting Void Caller as well. Deathrattle, put a random demon from your hand onto the battlefield with these 2. Pretty nice, potentially. And a huge one coming back is Defile. This card's always been Warlock's like best removal, pretty much. We saw Spammy running a lot of decks recently as well. This is like a 2 mana Spammy. It's just such a good card. I'm not too happy about it because I find the file really, really annoying to play against. When it came back in Knights of the Frozen Throne, recently I wasn't too happy about that. It just felt a bit annoying to play against in Bomb Lock, but Bomb Lock's going, so maybe it won't be such a big deal. But it's a huge asset to Warlock decks. We also got a 1-mana Spirit Bomb. This has been changed. It used to be 2 mana, I believe. So 1 mana deal 4 to a minion and your hero. Pretty good removal, but the damage is a lot. There is a card in the new set, which means your hero's immune on your turn, so maybe Spirit Bomb would be good alongside that in those decks. As for this big demon package, this actually has some potential to be like a win con for Warlocks. We've already seen Chad Warlock with Thaddeus and Amorphous Slime. Now, you could potentially do this whilst also running Mal'Ganis Voidcaller. If you do your Chadius turn, and it's on the even one, you could actually do a play where you go Jailer for 1 mana, and you play Voidcaller and kill it, and then you can get the Mal'Ganis out. So you've got Jailer to make your Mal'Ganis and your board immune, and then you've got Mal'Ganis to make your hero immune. So if the opponent doesn't run an AoE silence or an AoE removal, they just lose, actually. They just lose the game. And there's going to be quite a few decks like that, I imagine, because you don't take any face damage and you can't lose your board, so you just have to win. So they're actually kind of interesting win con that Warlock got as well. Now, Warrior losing Darius Crowley, Gorehowl, Shield Maiden, Armorsmith, Bloodhoof Brave, Fiery War Axe, Rip, and Bloodsail Deckhand. None of them like outstanding cards. Shield Maiden was like okay. Nothing really saw too much play. What are they getting? Omega Dillo buffed to 8 health. I think it used to be a 4/7. Bladestorm coming back in. Dynamatic coming back in, but this has not been buffed. It's exactly the same as it used to be. And the game has power crept a bit too much for this card to be good, I think. So while it used to be decent back in the day, back in like with the Dr. Boom hero card, I think it's probably bad now. Sword Eater coming back in, I think this card's probably still pretty decent. It was a very, very good card back then. Yeah, probably still pretty good. So that's a very good addition to Warrior. Heavy Plate is being in core, but Warrior is losing shield shatter. So the use of Heavy Plate goes down quite a bit. Frightened Flunky's gone into core, but they didn't buff its health or anything. This is an Old Gods card, I think. It was a long time ago. Maybe was it Old Gods? Maybe it was a different set. And it wasn't that good back then. So now in today's Hearthstone, with no changes to it, I don't know why. They could have made this a 2/3 or a 3/2 at least, but keeping it as a 2/2, I think it's just going to be too bad. And we've got Woodcutter's Axe changed. This was always a 2-mana 2/2 weapon, but before it only gave the +2/+1 to rush minions. Now it gives it to a random friendly minion, so it's a little bit stronger of a card. Some potential for this. Also, the fact that it curves kind of nicely into cards that care about you attacking, like the Hook Fist 3000. Woodcutter's Axe into this, maybe actually a pretty decent curve, especially if you get some good trades on either one. There's maybe some potential for this card. But overall, the core set for Warrior, not great. I feel like a couple of cards could have been buffed, like Dynamatic and Frightened Flunky, where like you saw in other classes like Paladin and Rogue, classes that weren't in as bad shape as Warrior getting sizable buffs to their cards, and then Warrior just getting brought back really old cards with no upgrades at all. Feels like a little bit of a miss to me. But yeah, we'll see. Anyway, we've got the neutrals now. That's all the classes. What's leaving? All of these. Any relevant cards in this? I guess Bran is the big one. Going. Reno kinda was seeing some play in some lower tier decks. Bran going is a huge one. Like the Druid particularly made best use of it, I think. Faceless going. Ooze is going, but there is going to be weapon removal in the core anyway. And the other two cards that are relevant are Mistress of Mixtures and Murloc Tiny Fin, I think. That actually see play. The Tiny Fin's quite huge for Shaman. It's actually pretty good right now because of Hawkstride Rancher and Rock Gill. Both pretty nice with the Tiny Fin. So having this go is actually a bit of a hit to Murloc style Shamans. What's coming back? Ragnaros, Dr. Boom Zeliax, and a buffed Black Knight for the Legendaries. I think the game's a bit too power crept for Rag to be played at 8 mana. Same probably for Dr. Boom at 7, but they are iconic cards, so having them in the core is kind of fun. Maybe there's some potential for Rag to cheat it out in Master Reveler decks, which is staying around. I don't think Rag's good for 8 mana, but if you can like copy this a bunch and get out a lot of Rags, suddenly it looks quite a lot better. Dr. Boom, I don't know. I don't think this is probably seeing any play, at least competitively. I think for nostalgia people will play it, but it's probably not a good card anymore. Zeliax is coming back. This one I think will see play. There are a lot of mechs in the game, and a lot of mech support coming in, so it makes sense to run this card as well. And it's a pretty good heal stabilization tool for some decks as well. Black Knight is getting buffed to a 4 mana 4/4. Destroy an enemy minion with taunt, so down from 6 mana to 4. It's also an undead. I mean, maybe a good tech card if there's a lot of taunts in the meta. If there's a lot of mechs, I guess. There's a couple of buffs to mech decks, which involve taunt. Zeliax being one of them. And Bronze Gatekeeper being another, which got buffed as well. Both give taunt, so maybe the Black Knight has some use there. Other big ones coming in. Dirty Rat, back in core. This is one of the best anti-combo-y tech cards available. It still sees play in Wild to this day, so expect a lot of play from this, I imagine, in Standard. Replicating Menace. It's got a buff as well to 2 health. So maybe decent option for mech decks, we'll see. Eater of Secrets coming back, whatever. Don't really care about this, it's not got any changes anyway. Cult Neophyte. Your opponent's spells cost 1 more next turn. I'm a bit sad this came back in whilst they left Shadow Step untouched, to be honest. And Miracle Rogue's pretty much untouched going in rotation. I'm not looking too forward to seeing them go Cult Neophyte, Shadow Step it, play out like a 9/9 and a bunch of 4/4s and another Cult Neophyte in the future. I feel like that could definitely be the meta we're going to face with the new set. So yeah, I don't know. This one with Shadow Step having so much support already feels a bit dangerous to me and a bit unfun. I think it'd be fine if there was no Step, or Step would maybe be fine if there was not this, but them together might push it over the edge a bit. And we got Armor Vendor coming back, which is a very, very good minion for a lot of control style decks or even combo decks. Pretty great minion, I imagine it still sees quite a lot of play now. Wargear getting buffed. Apple Bomb coming back, but I don't think it's had any changes other than being undead. I don't imagine that's going to be very good. Royal Librarian coming back with an attack buff to 4/4 if I remember. It used to be a 3/4. Maybe I'm wrong on that. My boy Dread Corsair coming back. If you don't know me from back in the day, I used to play Dread Corsair in so many of my decks, so looking forward to doing that again. It's probably still decent in something, so we're gonna try and find what that something is. Hench Clan Thug coming back. This was like okay back then, but probably not. Doesn't see play now. This getting buffed. Viper coming back. Shard saw a lot of play back in the day. Might do as well now. Tour Guide also saw a lot of play back then. I imagine this is going straight into Warlocks in almost every Warlock deck, I imagine. But it could see play potentially in stuff like Paladin or Totem Shaman, that sort of thing as well. And we got the Penguin coming in thanks to a Twitter poll. Other than that, we have some changes as well, which we're going to go through. These are some cards that have been adjusted, which are remaining in core. Flame Reaper's getting an attack buff to 5/3. Now, this doesn't see play now, but there is a card that gives you a weapon, a random weapon as a Demon Hunter, so it's relevant for that. This is like the big high roll for it. Gnarg's getting an extra health, we mentioned that earlier. Wrathscale Naga getting another health, so it went from 3/1 to 3/2 to 3/3. Metamorphosis going down to 4 mana, still deal 4. This could actually be kind of decent now. Ancient Law getting buffed. Druid of the Claw getting kind of a weird buff. 6 mana now. And you get a 4/9 with Taunt or a 7/6 with Rush. That's a little bit weird. I'm kind of confused as why that's coming in. Maybe there's going to be some choose one synergies in the new set. Soul of the Forest buffed to 3 mana. That might be actually pretty decent. Treants are now buffed to 1 mana. Savannah getting an extra health. Babbling Book getting an extra health too. And there's a smaller spell pool, so it might be actually pretty nice for the Babbling Book. This could see play for sure in an aggro-y style of Mage. Now with the 2 health. True Silver now gets an extra health when you swing. Sure. Don't know if it's going to make too much of a difference. Consecration now goes to 3 mana. A lot more playable. Draconic Operative goes to 4 mana 4/5. Not sure there's that much dragon synergy going on in standard right now, but obviously a bit stronger. Holy Nova damages face. Psychic Conjurer going to 2 health. Now all the Thief Priest stuff is still in standard, so this is actually pretty relevant. It's going to allow your minion to stick a lot more easily to get the location buff on it. So I think this is actually quite a decent change. It's going to actually help Thief Priest quite a bit. Swashbuckler getting an extra health as well. Feral Spirit's getting the nature tag. I don't think that's too relevant, at least right now. Hex going down to 3 mana. Now this is relevant because of School Teacher mainly. But maybe the card's a bit more playable. But School Teacher being able to give Hex is very, very nice. Menacing Nimbus to 3 mana. To 3 health, also good. And Hellfire to 3 mana also might be playable, although they do have Defile now, so maybe this is slightly redundant. And speaking of School Teacher, the pool for Paladin's School Teacher is kind of insane now. We take a quick look at Paladin's cards. They're losing all the secrets, so only gonna, for the 1 cost, only gonna have this, this, and this, I think. And promotion. But for the 3 cost, you're gonna have Consecration, you still have like Jury Duty, still have Seal of Blood, you have Hammer of Wrath in there now, you have such a good pool now for Paladin's School Teacher. The only issue, I suppose, is if you're going pure Paladin, you can't run a teacher. But if you're not, I imagine School Teacher is going to look very, very nice within Paladin. let me know what you guys think of this core set. That's pretty much everything I had to go through. It was quite a long video, but hope you stuck with me till the end. And let me know your thoughts. What's gonna be benefiting the most? I think Demon Hunter kind of got a very big boost, even though they didn't get that many changes. And I'm a little worried for Warrior, to be honest. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.